The legacy of Yuri Bezmenov, a Cold War defector's prophetic warnings. In the annals of Cold War history, few figures stand out as starkly as Yuri Bezmenov. A former KGB informant who defected to the West, Bezmenov's insights into Soviet psychological warfare and subversion have echoed through the decades, resonating with a relevance that transcends his era. His life, his defection, and his warnings about ideological subversion provide a compelling narrative that continues to fascinate historians, political scientists, and those concerned with the defense of democratic societies. Born in 1939 in Mytishchi near Moscow, Yuri Bezmenov was the son of a high-ranking Soviet military officer. This afforded him a privileged education, eventually leading him to Moscow State University, where he studied international relations. Bezmenov's academic prowess and fluency in several languages did not go unnoticed. Soon, he was recruited by the KGB, the Soviet Union's infamous security agency. Bezmenov's initial role was as a translator and journalist for Novosti press agency, a KGB front used to disseminate Soviet propaganda. His work took him to India, where he posed as a correspondent while engaging in covert activities aimed at promoting Soviet interests. It was during this period that Bezmenov became disillusioned with the Soviet system. Witnessing the extent of deception, manipulation, and outright brutality employed by the KGB, he began to question his allegiance. In 1970, Bezmenov made the bold decision to defect. His escape was straight out of a spy novel. Disguised as a hippie, complete with beard and denim attire, he slipped away from his KGB handlers while in Greece and sought asylum at the American embassy. From there, he was smuggled to the United States, where he began a new life under the name Thomas David Schumann. Bezmenov's defection was a significant propaganda victory for the West. Here was a high-ranking KGB officer who could provide first-hand accounts of Soviet operations and strategies. He underwent debriefing by American intelligence agencies, sharing invaluable information about Soviet tactics and the KGB's inner workings. However, it was his public lectures and writings that would leave a lasting impact. Yuri Bezmenov's most enduring legacy is his detailed exposition of the KGB's strategy for ideological subversion. He described it as a long-term process designed to undermine the stability of a target nation, making it ripe for takeover. Bezmenov outlined a four-stage process: demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization. 1. Demoralization. This stage, Bezmenov explained, could take 15, 20 years, the time it takes to educate a generation. The goal was to undermine the moral and cultural foundations of society. This was achieved through infiltration of educational institutions, media, and cultural organizations, promoting ideas and values that were antithetical to the target nation's core beliefs. Bezmenov emphasized that demoralization involved convincing people that their traditional values were outdated or oppressive, fostering a sense of guilt and disillusionment. 2. Destabilization. Once a society was sufficiently demoralized, the next stage was destabilization, which could take 5 years. This phase targeted key institutions such as the economy, military, and law enforcement. The aim was to create economic and social chaos, eroding the public's confidence in their leaders and institutions. Bezmenov highlighted how activists and radical groups would be used to stoke unrest and create a climate of fear and uncertainty. 3. Crisis. The crisis stage was the tipping point. It involved a dramatic event or series of events that would trigger widespread panic and disorientation. This could be an economic collapse, political scandal, or violent conflict. During this stage, people would be desperate for stability and order, making them susceptible to radical solutions or authoritarian rule. 4. Normalization. The final stage, normalization, occurred once the crisis had led to a new power structure. This new regime would consolidate its control, often with a promise of restoring order and normalcy. However, this normalization would be on the new regime's terms, often involving repressive measures to maintain control and suppress dissent. Bezmenov's warnings, once considered part of Cold War paranoia, have found renewed interest in the 21st century. With the rise of digital media, social networks, and sophisticated propaganda techniques, the principles of ideological subversion appear more relevant than ever. Analysts point to various contemporary phenomena, political polarization, disinformation campaigns, and cultural conflicts, as evidence that the tactics described by Bezmenov are still in play, albeit in updated forms. His insights into psychological warfare and propaganda have been echoed by modern cybersecurity experts who warn of foreign influence operations aimed at destabilizing Western democracies. The concept of fake news, cyber warfare, and information manipulation are seen as contemporary manifestations of the strategies Bezmenov outlined decades ago. Yuri Bezmenov's life and teachings serve as a cautionary tale about the fragility of democratic institutions and the ongoing battle for the hearts and minds of citizens. His defection from the KGB and subsequent efforts to educate the West about Soviet tactics underscore the importance of vigilance and resilience in the face of subversive threats. Bezmenov's story is a reminder that the defense of freedom requires not just military might, but also intellectual and moral clarity. Understanding the strategies of ideological subversion can empower societies to recognize and counteract these threats, safeguarding the values and principles that underpin democratic governance. In an era of global interconnectedness and rapid information exchange, the lessons from Yuri Bezmenov's life are as pertinent as ever. They challenge us to remain aware, informed, and proactive in protecting the integrity of our institutions and the cohesion of our societies. As we navigate the complexities of modern geopolitics, Bezmenov's legacy offers a vital perspective on the enduring struggle for ideological supremacy. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to UY Scooty for regular updates.